And we're live.
We are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Darryl Woodhouse. If you're joining us live, welcome. If you're catching this on the replay later, you're welcome too. Just at a better, more convenient time and day for you. Today, this is a free workshop, as you'll be aware. It's very much about helping overworked teams, people who are frequently stressed at work from having too much to do, perhaps not having inadequate training, not having the best possible leadership and team engagement, and a whole load of other things. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are feeling like that around the world, and it's been like this for years. So I'm here to tell you about how we can make it easier, where we can optimize our career potential, our success at work, our organization success, but without long working. And this all comes from my own experiences earlier in forward at a young age, where I had some amazing training in leadership strategy, how to build teams, how to drive high performance, how to nurture culture, and a whole host of other really important skills that have really helped me through my career. And I took a lot of those skills to start my own business 12 years ago. That's Advantage Business Partnerships, for which I've since launched 2 other brands, darrylwoodhouse.com and the Lifework Effect. And I guess what it means is I've got that experience of the corporate world. I've then got experience of scaling up my own business. And within my own business for the last 12 years, I've been helping entrepreneurs, leaders, teams in small companies and much larger companies, including corporates from lots of different industries from around the world. I've been helping them to fulfill their potential faster, more easily, and with less stress. However, when I was doing all this stuff, when I was having my earliest successful career, when I was building up my own business, helping other businesses and helping other leaders and people to be more successful, and providing mentoring, coaching, training, it was all very good. But the photo in the middle of your screen here, this is myself with my wife and my 4 children and our good friend Father Christmas, only in December last year, 2022. And the old me was achieving all this great stuff at work, but I was doing it, one, through being good and being hopefully fairly good at what I do, and being determined and being ambitious. But I was doing it kind of cheating in a way, because I was working really, in my earlier corporate career, I was working 80 to 100-hour weeks. I carried that forward into my own business. And guess what? I was burning out over a long time. It was a long time due. And it meant that I wasn't spending enough time with my family while I was working all these long hours. My family, my friends, work is why I live. I live for this stuff. Work is a means to having the life I want. But I wasn't having the life I want because I was putting too much into work. Personal circumstances, tragedy that can happen to any one of us at any time, occurred in my life in 2016. So 4 years into my business. And that was the tipping point to tip me over the edge into a really serious burnout. And we'll talk a bit more later about some of the consequences of that, because maybe you can relate to it, or statistically, someone in your team or in your household is likely to be going through some of this stuff now, or is on the way towards it. And guess what? By increasing our awareness, by attending this free workshop and listening to it all the way through to the end, you're going to be better equipped to help people spot the signs of burnout and educate them and share best practices, many of which I'm going to share today on this session, to help people to achieve all that they want in their work, in their career, but without the long working hours, without the frequent stress, without burnout. And so since I burnt out and I came back, I decided that I was not going to work those long hours anymore. I made a number of key lifestyle changes whilst further investing in productivity skills and becoming much better and smarter at how I made my time, how I use my time in work, in my business. And from having this better life-work balance, by getting better at productivity, not only have I since been happier and healthier than ever, but I'm working obviously half as much as I had done for 15 odd years. And the best bit, apart from having more time for me and my life and my family, you know, this new version of me, the best bit is I've been much more successful. My career has gone onto new heights. My business grew and evolved onto new heights. And the idea, this is factual stuff. And as we'll go into some of the other insights and researching case studies I'll share with you today, you're going to see that it's not just me that this has happened to. This is a kind of a growing movement now, where more and more hardworking people and organizations are getting better and taking more note of encouraging management skills, getting better at internal communications, leadership development. These are all the things that helped me and have since helped me to help others to have that life-work balance without the longer working hours. So yeah, there's a little bit about my experience. We might have some more questions later, but we'll come on to that. We've got plenty of time. What else to expect today? We're going to go into a bit more on this truth about overworking and inefficiency. We've got some fantastic stats to that to add to my own personal story and proven track record that I touched on just now. I'm going to introduce you to a very simple but highly impactful performance improvement and burnout prevention method, something you can start implementing right now, right after this session. We're then going to go into some more easy to action tips to reduce overworking and stress, to get more done in less time, to live happier and achieve more at work. And we're going to do a little bit of an introduction, very brief one, no hard sell today, bit of an introduction for those who want to learn more of my methodology and to have more coaching support on how I did this for myself and how many other clients have experienced the same since. We'll do a little bit of an overview of the high performance leadership program. And of course, we've got a live Q&A. So we've got my dear friend Russ, who's here. He's helping ensure this runs as smoothly as technology allows for us today, keeping an eye on any tech stuff, but he's also having a look at any comments that come through. So those of you that are here live, we want to hear your comments, thoughts, which best practices, which insights that I'm about to share, which ones stand out for you the most. Let us know in the chat. Say hello, let us know where you're coming from today. This could be a networking opportunity for you with others that are attending live. And of course, any early questions that you think of, again, pop them in the chat. And Russ is going to be picking out the best ones, if we can't get to them all, depending on how many there are. And he will pose those questions to me at the end of the session. So please do stay tuned, make time for this. The previous sessions, if you've seen anything before, have gone really well, great feedback, lots of value added. That's why I'm here, that's what I want to do. I want to add value, but you need to stick this out to the end to catch all of that. But this early positioning, this context is so important to position and help fire up the motivation, the drive to make some of the change actions that I'm recommending later on in this workshop. So trust the process, stay with me, and I hope you've got a pen and paper ready. Very quickly on the high performance leadership program, I'd say we'll go into more detail on this as may be appropriate later on in the session. But this is my flagship program that's been becoming more and more popular in the last few years. We're getting more case studies, testimonials, successes, some examples of some of the benefits in the program. One of my favorite ones is that every participant is saving more than 10 work hours per week. And then we're able to use that time to reduce the overworking, to review more important, longer term strategic activities that are actually going to help progress your career quicker and help make a bigger impact, a bigger profit, performance impact for your employer, for your organization. We're seeing it uplift in productivity, energy, motivation, happiness, lower rates of burnout. I've got more than 185 testimonials now on my LinkedIn profile. On YouTube, there are several videos from customers of the program telling you what they gained from it, and you can see the legitimacy and do your own due diligence as may be appropriate. And in this particular program, we do it over 12 weeks. It's bite-sized learning, one live session a week for a couple of hours with lots of practical insights, recommendations, actionable advice, troubleshooting, breakout groups, peer-to-peer support, and a whole load more. And by doing it over 12 weeks, as opposed to some of the 3 to 4 day in 1 week intensive that I've also done previously, both in person and online, spreading it out makes it much more manageable. It enables you to implement some of the changes while they're fresh on your mind after each workshop, not having to focus on too much in 1 week, and it helps avoid overwhelm and brain fog. So that's kind of some really important stuff here that differentiates this particular program from the executive mini MBA programs that I've been delivering for several business schools in the last few years. Now, let's get on into some other stuff. I should just mention as well, this usually raises a few eyebrows, but hopefully for good reason. One thing that seems to surprise people with the high performance leadership program is that I offer a 100% money back guarantee. So as my coach tells me, it really is a no-brainer. And why do I do that? Well, I know the program works. I've been doing it for years, hence the testimonials and the case studies. And I want to make it easier for people to make the decision to come on this journey, to join the program. I want to help more people. And, what a statement to say that, look, if this doesn't work for you, I'll give you your money back. But yeah, touch wood, it hasn't happened yet because it really works. We need to look at burnout. I often get a lot of questions in my workshops, in my webinars, in my one-to-one meetings as well. What exactly is burnout, and what are the signs that I can look out for them in myself, but also in my colleagues or my family members, my friends. So what you have up on the screen here, you have two quite interesting but distinct sides of burnout symptoms. On the left, you have the symptoms that are much more visible and easier to spot, either in oneself or in someone else, because we can, if we are looking out, if we are keeping an open mind, then these are the sorts of things to look out for. Changes in our skin, aging quicker. As I get older, I'm seeing it in more and more people. Those who have taken action sooner to cut out the long working hours that overall and invested in activity skills, they are looking younger than those who are still grafting and working really long hours. They've got less symptoms, issues, and a whole lot of other things. So that's quite a big one for me. But you can just take a few moments, have a look at what you see on the screen. These are just some of the examples. And guess what? I had most of these symptoms for several years, going right back into my corporate career, and then I carried them through into starting my business 12 years ago. And I think if I'd have had some of this education, if I had someone guiding me sooner in my life, sooner in my career, then I wouldn't have burnt out in the way that I did in 2016. I wouldn't now have several daily medical conditions that I have to control, manage and treat every day for the rest of my life. Those were pretty hard to take initially on diagnosis, but I guess with time you get used to them, and I've learned to channel them positively and use them. One is motivation to do what I do, educating others to help them actually tackle the root causes of work-related stress and prevent burnout. And they're also good daily reminders to not let those old habits creep back in. The high mentality, the perfectionism, the overthinking, very, very common across many of us. So then, of course, on the right of the screen, you have the more hidden symptoms or signs of burnout. Everyone is different. Not everyone will have all of these symptoms. It comes out differently in different people. And of course, I haven't listed all of them on here. This is just to give you a few ideas. But again, a lot of the symptoms you see on the right-hand side, I had all of these for a number of years. And when I actually properly burnt out, they got a lot worse and a lot more serious. And that was kind of a real wake-up call for me, which, thankfully led me to this happier, healthier way of living, with working less hours, but being much more successful through productivity skills, through life-work balance. So now I've got some stats, some other research examples I want to share with you. And as we're doing that, I want you to think about these high-level stats and think about how and where they might apply or be relevant to you or people in your workplace, in your home, in your friendship circles. So on the left here, you've got just a couple of examples of the risks that that medical science and research is finding is occurring from those working more than 50 hours a week. So that's 50 hours plus per week. Unfortunately, quite a lot of people are doing that. Through my own research, I'm talking about hundreds, just shy of 300 different leaders and senior personnel from a range of organizations, small and large, different industries that I've worked with in the last 12 months. And yeah, 90% had a medium to high burnout concern for themselves or others in their workplace that they work closely with. And 39% admitted to overworking. So that's a really number there on some credible research. Then you have perhaps more publicly known burnout research examples from Deloitte, as an example, where a fairly recent report there, 77% of working professionals had experienced burnout worldwide. 77% in there. That's 4 out of 5 of people that are on this webinar today. Is 4 out of 5 people in your office, in your team. It's a lot of people, and when you look at higher risk of stroke, higher risk of depression, anxiety, take it from personal experience, these are things you would not or should not wish on your worst enemies. These are very horrible and serious conditions, especially if you get on the serious side of the spectrum now, and they can also contribute to other implications as well. And also think about what else is important to you. Think about your family, the lifestyle you want. What are you sacrificing by doing this, by putting yourself through this unnecessary frequent stress and non-working hours? Some of the things that poor work-life balance we found was causing us to miss out on was not taking our full annual holiday entitlement, not adopting a pet, which of course to some people is really important socially and can make a big difference for well-being and physical fitness and a whole list of other things. For many years, not giving enough time and energy to romantic relationships, not having enough sleep, and of course that's massively important, increasing our chances of a happy, healthy, long life. That's a really, really important one. And starting a family. People are putting off such a joy because of their work commitments and putting too much into their career and not having enough balance of what they actually really want from life. Is it really status and earning loads of money, or is it more of a modest income but a happier life-work balance, more time for fitness, travel? Life can be too short. Why wait till retirement to do some of this stuff? We might not make it to retirement. And hey, there's experience of that even in my own family. tragic. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here, is to remind everyone and hopefully inspire not to do this, and to show you this smarter way through the productivity skills that we're going to come to shortly. One really important stat here I'll just highlight, it's on the middle right of your screen, about the lower productivity. Employees who overwork and experience chronic fatigue can lose 4.4 times the productivity of well-rested workers. Huge difference. Just pause on that for a moment and just take that in, because you're really good at this stuff. Great. Come and work with me. Come and join my training team. And seriously, help your colleagues, the 4 out of 5 who are burnt out or who are overworking. Lead by example. Help them to learn from me, from you. Step up, take responsibility, do something kind for other people. Very, very quick look at the cost of work-related stress, a kind of economic organization level. 15 million days wasted, lost every year to work-related stress absence. It's an estimated cost of $5 billion per year in the UK alone. We had a $500 billion estimate of this in America. Research by the kind of related study. Gallup, for example, they're one of my favorite ones for great research and credible information. Organizations with low employee engagement, and look at what happens to them. They have 18% lower productivity, 16% lower profitability, 65% lower share price over time, significant costs and missed opportunities. And of course, those organizations, they're not leveraging what they already have. So a lot of the time, this isn't about taking on more staff and winning more customers and doing better marketing. A lot of the time, it's about leveraging and using what we have better. Playing to our team's strengths, leveraging our other strengths and assets better, working better as a team, improving systems, process, efficiency, reducing red tape, simplifying what we do, and lots of other things that are, if we focus, are really simple and impactful ways of, 1, boosting employee engagement, 2, preventing burnout, 2, increasing staff retention, which is another significant cost to organizations, and so on and so forth. So many benefits. And that's what I'm here for, to tell you and help educate you on this, and your colleagues, of course, as well. The cost. What's the cost to you? So we've talked about, these are some sort of, fairly generic studies, but they're accurate and they're really good barometers to follow and draw from. But just take a moment, either now or for a few minutes after this session, so make a note of this now. But, what's the impact to you in your world, in your life, in your workplace? Is it some stuff on here? Great, because you can take this now as motivation. Right? These are the areas I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to go in plans and change action to get better at this, to improve, to get less for more, to make life and work easier and more successful. It's really important to look at the causes of work-related stress, because that's a big factor that's causing a lot of low productivity, missed opportunity in organizations. It's a major cause of burnout at work. This is from the Workplace Health Report. You've got the rows in pink, so the top rows of each of the categories here. The top row in pink is 2023 figures, so fairly recent, and then you've just got some comparison there with 2022 figures. And these are just the top 5 causes that you see on the screen. So maybe no surprises, no rocket science there, but this is to highlight and reinforce that these are from, and to make life and work easier and more successful. But we have to call them out, we have to acknowledge them, We have to make it relevant and call out what's going on in our workplace and how this applies to us. And then by calling out those root causes, we then need to create a change plan, an action plan even, to tackle and to try and prevent or at least minimize those root causes of work-related stress. And this is a large part of this is all in our control, but we've got to be proactive, being stuck in the day-to-day operations, stop being reactive, to stop ignoring valuable long-term strategic growth, career development opportunities and tasks, the things that will actually make us better off in the longer run. We've got to stop ignoring those and make more time for them, not find time, but make more time. To expand a little bit further on another but massive cause of work-related stress that I've seen now amongst so many clients and in their organizations, it's about meetings. So again, I've studied, I've surveyed this, and 91% have said that work meetings could be better and shorter. 29% said that meetings are draining with much room to improve. Wow. And 53% do not have a stress reduction strategy. Now that's really interesting. I and others, we had this on a previous webinar, I think it was the month before. There were questions over that, the validity of that 53%. And it was agreeable that we felt that the reality is it's probably a higher percentage do not have such. And the amount of people said to me, what is a stress reduction strategy? Well, it's with your team, your colleagues, identifying those root causes of work-related stress, low engagement, low productivity, call them out, and then think tank, whiteboard, work together to create a simple but realistic change plan or a program, if you like, over 6 months, 12 months to remove or significantly reduce those causes of work-related stress. And there's different ways you can track and manage it as well. And this is something we might take questions on, or maybe if you want a bit more of a helping hand and a bit of a steer on how myself and my team could get involved with you and your organization, you know, we can have a free discovery call and we can go into this in a bit more detail. Yeah, 53%, or if it's higher, it's a fantastic opportunity to achieve more, wanting our staff to have more time for what they really want from life, more time for family, hobbies, fitness, well-being, travel, holidays, etc. So there you go. There's some other stuff to think about. Couple of final stats, and then we're going to go into some really actionable advice and stuff to take away before the live Q&A. Again, back to my own studies. 83% of leaders in my research admitted that their organizations primarily focus on and talk about weaknesses, whether that's at individual level, in appraisals, at team level, and that's really good because weaknesses are a threat to our performance, to our livelihoods, to our organization, to the economy, to the world. They should be talked about and focused on. However, and we'll move into his tools shortly, there's a smarter way that still focuses on weaknesses, but also does some other cool stuff that enables us to quite easily achieve a lot more just by a little bit of tweaking to our habits, to where we point our energy and our resources and our focus. And other related research to this point of where we can create a smoother journey for ourselves. There is this short-term cost-saving mindset. Again, same people researched. Vast majority of organizations, redundancies. Hey, we're in a recession, we've just come out of COVID, we're getting hit one thing after another, energy cost crisis, and so much more. So understandably, yeah, people want to reduce costs, but what they're not doing is before they make the decision to cut costs, to cut resources, to save, to at least be, as a leadership team, studying, analyzing, weighing up the pros and cons of the opposite decision, not making those cutbacks and sticking with it. And so I've got to just got to plug in my charger, which is a silly thing to forget. Bear with me. And we're in a new office after we just moved house, so still finding our feet, getting used to the new setup. Okay. Cool. Here we are. We're back. Sorry about that. So here we go. Short-term cost saving, you need to at least consider what is the impact in the longer term. Are we going to actually end up making less profit in the longer term because we've cut our headcount? We saved money in the short term, but we've limited our growth. We've put more stress and pressure and responsibility on our existing and now smaller workforce. Thus, it's going to weaken our retention. It's going to increase our rates of burnout, increase our cost of stress-related absence, and so on and so forth. And this is what the study that I did found out, was that 77% of those organizations were not even having those long-term pros and cons considerations. They were just going straight in with, we need to save money, we need to cut costs. And it's wrong, and it causes a lot more suffering, both in the short and the longer term. So how do we come away from that mindset? How do we have a better balance? This is where we come into the first tool that I'm going to share today. It's incredibly simple. It's not rocket science, but there's a good chance most of you won't have seen this before. If my research and my clients on previous and recent programs have attested. And this is all about unlocking growth from our existing resources, from our time, from our existing strengths. And it's doing all of that whilst reducing overworking and smashing stress. Now, going back to my own experiences, like personally, through my burnout and my comeback, through then seeing it for myself through many other organizations and helping them find this better and smarter way, the mindset is not about finding time for this stuff. Where there's always other distractions, interruptions, and the challenge is to make time. Don't find time. Don't keep allowing distractions and excuses. Just make the time for change action. And lo and behold, here's a couple of great changes and productivity hacks that you can go and make time for and implement straight away, right after this workshop or first thing tomorrow. I don't care. Just do it in the next few days. Don't keep putting it off by weeks and months until you've then forgotten. I've seen this pattern before. So the time for change is now. Short-term investment for long-term gain. So this is the strengthener trio, performance improving and burnout prevention tool. And it comes from some of these stats. It's kind of related to some of these stats on the last slide about having a focus on weaknesses and having a short-term cost mindset. The opposite to that, actually, the vast majority of organizations, including very successful and very profitable ones, they are putting too much focus on weaknesses and short-term savings, and they're not balancing long-term. And a great way to achieve less with more is about making time to leverage our strengths. So I'll now walk you through the 3 simple but key stages of the strengthener trio on how you can do this. Number 1, think about let's start with you as an individual. Think about your own strengths. Think about things that you enjoy doing at work, things that you are good at doing. You do them quickly, easily. There's good energy, good feel around them. Maybe they just come naturally. Maybe you've been professionally trained in them. Maybe you just enjoy doing them. It doesn't really matter. But whatever those strengths are, write them down as an exercise. Do it now. Do it right now. It only takes a few moments. Or if you're on the replay, pause it for a few minutes and do it, and then press play again in a few minutes. And think about those strengths and look at your diary, look at your to-do list, look at your upcoming work schedule, and just challenge yourself. What can I do to increase the frequency that I use these strengths, these enjoyment tasks? What changes can I make? Number 2 in the trio is about same process, but what can I do to increase the amount of time I spend using these strengths overall? And the third, but most important aspect of the trio is how can I transform my performance and impact by getting even better at those strengths? Our favorite sports teams and athletes are brilliant at this. They're brilliant at always driving continuous improvement, always trying to break new records. Yes, they're focused on weaknesses, but they're also at least equally focused on, I'm strong, I'm fast already, but how can I get stronger and faster? How can I make this strength even more of a superpower? How can I get more advice, more training, learn the latest science, the latest methods? How can I get more coaching? And this is a great example of how we can learn so much from the sports world and apply it in business, in both private commercial sector and the public sector and the third sector, not-for-profits. I see these opportunities to improve everywhere. So that's the strength in the trio. You start by doing it as challenging yourself, working on yourself, and then the next level up. And by the way, I do workshops on this, and I come in and do it in-house with a team, either in person or virtually. And we do a sort of a whiteboarding session where we map very visually what everyone in the team's strength in the trio is. And we throw in some other useful insights as well, and to help other people in the team understand ourselves better and identify opportunities to improve and unlock new growth and potential. And then, for example, we then see, okay, right, so Bob has these strengths and he spends about 10 hours a week doing it on average. Sally is not strong at those and hates doing those things. So it'd be great if we can get Bob to take on 15 hours of work there from Sally. But to do that, we've got to free up Bob. Otherwise, we're going to overload him, burn him out. So then we look across the rest of the room and think, right, okay, look at Bob's weaknesses. Someone else is strong at this, and we move stuff around. And in some cases, we're literally ripping up job descriptions that have been the same since the company was created 20, 30 or more years ago. And they're very black and white, and they've not been updated, and they do not help ourselves and our colleagues to leverage each other's strengths to achieve less with more. So there's some stuff to think about, and let's give you a little bit more before we go into live Q&A. So we've touched on the root cause analysis. We talked about symptoms, identifying symptoms of burnout, and that you can go and talk to. I'm not a wellbeing expert, by the way. I'm a leadership development coach, consultant, and productivity trainer. So I'm not a wellbeing expert, but a lot of very good wellbeing experts, and I work with a lot of them. They will help you typically to ease the symptoms of stress. That might be a mindfulness expert, a yoga expert, a nutrition expert, a sleep expert, and so much more. And that's really good, and that's important to treat the symptoms. But my work goes deeper than that. My work is about calling out those root causes of job-related stress and burnout, and then taking proactive actions in the workplace to prevent them, and prevent them altogether in some cases, or if that's not possible, then to significantly reduce them. And so that tool we shared on the last slide, that's just one way you can do that. But it really does stem from making time to call out those root causes of work-related stress, and then putting a team of champions together to work at them as a change initiative. And again, this is the sort of thing I come in and do for different teams and organizations. So look me up, let's have a chat, and see if I can help, or at least give you a free steer on what you can do for yourself. Now, next one, we haven't mentioned this one yet. Words per minute. What's that all about? So my mum, my late mum, God bless her, she, when I was about 15, she got me to do this touch typing, speed typing course. And as a 15-year-old moody teenager, a bit ungrateful, I was a bit like, I'm not sure about this. I don't think it's going to be very cool for me to do this. My friends aren't doing it. But I on this occasion, I trusted and listened to her, and I did it. And it very quickly, in not much time, enabled me to double my words per minute. And my mum did say to me that by investing in and developing that typing speed, it's going to massively help me with my homework and my studies, my assignments. It's going to help me type things up quicker, and it's going to massively help me beyond school in my working career. And yeah, wow, she was right. Think about how much time we spend typing, and even more since I was at school. Even more since 22 years ago, I started my working career. We're heavily reliant on typing. So my challenge to you is, if you don't know your words per minute count, go and Google it and do a little test online. It is free. It doesn't take that long. If you do know your word per minute count, if you haven't done this test in the last couple of years, why not do it again? See if you've got faster or slower. But also, let's find out where you are and think, maybe, if you did a touch typing course, which takes about 20 minutes a week for a couple of months at most. There's various courses online. I don't provide these courses myself, but you can find them pretty easily online. And I've seen some very good ones for $30, $50. It hardly takes any of your time. But if you think about, forget about the cost, forget about the time you've got to put in to do the course, and I'm talking about a couple of hours in total over a number of weeks or months, but think about those long-term gains. If you're spending a third of your week at work typing, half of it, more, less, whatever, add those hours up over let's say a year, and if you can even just increase your word per minute speed by 20%, it's a significant time saving. Now, I went back and did another one a couple of years ago and increased my word per minute count again by another 30%. So again, we can always improve, we can always change. So that's a massive one. It's proven very popular with others I've shared this before. So I hope you enjoyed that. Meeting culture is the next one. So we touched on this earlier. This is one of the common complaints, one of the common causes, frustrations that I hear from hardworking people in businesses all around the world. And it's like, we have so many meetings and many of them are not efficient, they're too long, they're not structured enough, I didn't even need to be there, etc., etc., etc. So many complaints. So guess what? If you call it out and work together as a team, as an organization, you can save a hell of a lot of time. We've done a few workshops now across a number of organizations where I've done a very short educational piece on how inefficient meetings are. We do using some tech, we do a live whiteboard where everyone can anonymously input all their frustrations about why meetings could be better and shorter. And then we look at that and we have some interesting debates and some discussion. And then we go into, right, what are all of our ideas and experiences to make these meetings shorter and better? And literally in less than an hour, we run this workshop. We have lots of practical breakouts and interaction, so no one falls asleep. And within an hour, one example recently with one of my clients, we had 44 simple bullet point rules of engagement, action points on how to drive a culture of shorter, better meetings. And, wow, 44 points, different points we came up with in such a short workshop. And it all fitted into 2 pages in a PDF. So, yeah, if you've not done this before, this is something we should talk about because, again, think about how much time we are wasting and how much more we can get back and what we can do with that time. It's huge. So that is a great opportunity in itself on its own. And then you have walks and talks, WATs, as I like to call them for short. This is a challenge to every single one of us. Even I can do more of this, and I have to keep reminding myself to do this more often. But it's looking at your diary for the next few weeks and just challenge yourself. How many of these meetings really need to be sat in my office at home or sat around a boardroom table at the office in the nearest city with my colleagues. How many of them need to be sat down or looking at the screen? And the idea is like a good number of those meetings, and even if you just change a couple a fortnight initially, a number of those are appropriate to do outside, perhaps where you can go out for a walk alongside your colleague if you're in the same location, or wherever you are in the world, you can agree the time and the place, and you can both go out separately, have a decent headset on, do a good conversation, have a good meeting, whilst combining fitness, movement, fresh air, and doing some really good business, whilst also giving your eyes a break from the screen. Now, of course, health and safety, make sure you're doing this in a safe environment. Don't go distracted walking across busy roads. Maybe a nice country park is a good, a river walk even. But this is massive, and you can also do some of these calls as group walk and talks as well, either over a group conference call line, which doesn't cost that much. It's a good investment for the gain that we make, or if you're all meeting up in an office somewhere live in person, then go out for a walk and go and do that meeting outside. I like to have a small pocket notebook with me and a pen, so that if I picked up an action or a good idea during the discussion, I can just stop for a second and write that down so nothing gets lost. Of course, things are perhaps sensitive or confidential. They might not be appropriate and might be better in a private room, but this is for you to figure out. But the point is, a lot of these meetings don't have to be sat down in an office or standing up in an office like I am today. Next one, and last one actually, before we go into the Q&A, and we're doing good for time, which is awesome. So other must-have skills. This is a massive investment in people, investment in growth, investment in employee engagement, burnout prevention, stress reduction, improving life-work balance, improving comms and outputs that my clients get and can expect from any one of my programs and my workshops. And we've touched on a few of these skills already, but I just want to reinforce those and add a few others. To investing in productivity skills, time management, decision making, team building, employee engagement program skills and knowledge. So many senior leaders and executives are taking on the role of employee engagement and culture change, yet they've never had any formal training on it. Talk about being set up for failure and struggle. Have we really set ourselves up for success individually, across the team, or across the organization? And a lot of these must-have skills that we're touching on, we don't get them in the education system typically, and we typically don't get them early on in our career. Communication skills is probably another big one there as well I haven't mentioned. And this is the stuff that's all built into my program, whether that's the group high performance leadership program or the one-to-one coaching that I do. Now, hopefully you like all or some of what we've covered today and some of the actionable advice, and hopefully you've got a nice little change action plan, and you're going to make some time maybe tomorrow to go out for a coffee on your own with your notebook and plan some more time in to try these habits and to do things differently and do things better, and to follow through. But if you want more for free, you've got my free ebook, and the latest one anyway. It's called 4 Epic Life Work Effect Pillars of Smarter Hybrid Working. There are more than 50 actionable habits, pieces of advice in there that you can go and implement straight away. For some, that's a bit overwhelming. There's too many things at once, but my advice is you skim read the ebook. It doesn't take long to do that, and then you pick out a couple of the recommendations, the habits that really stand out for you. Maybe they are reminders, maybe they are new best practices that you've never been told about before. Just pick out 3 or 4 that resonate for you, and then just focus on implementing those for the next 4 weeks as an individual or even across your team. Then set a calendar reminder and then come back to the ebook 4 to 5 weeks later. Write down how you're feeling, note down any changes, successes you've noticed, and then come back to the ebook and plan another 3 or 4 change actions. that will keep you going for a while, and it's just going to cost a little bit of your time, but the return on investment is going to be huge. So that's the ebook, to give you an idea of that. And of course, if you want a bit more of a helping hand, a bit more of a do it with you program, then that's where you need to get in touch with me, and I can give you more of an overview. And there's a whole website set up for the high performance leadership program, and brochures for that, and the other products and services that myself and my team provide. So that offer is there as and when you're ready, but don't leave it too long, because this stuff really works. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take the screen show off, and then we're going to open up into the live Q&A. So Russ, if I can bring you back in, please. I'm hoping we've had some lovely comments and some great questions come through.
We've got some good questions that we've had from the previous workshops that I think would be good to go over, if that's all right with you, Daryl.
Yeah, sure.
What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
I like this question. I wish I had this advice 20 odd years ago, but it's about the messaging that I'm sharing today. It's this learning this smarter way of working, learning and being shown how to have the life that we want, and the career and the business success that we want, but without sacrificing our long-term health, without working 80 to 100-hour weeks, or more than 50 hours even at the lower end. And yeah, I just wish I was given that insight, that knowledge, those productivity skills earlier on. And yeah, I feel I've been successful, and I've achieved a lot of things in my career, but I just look back at all those hours of not working smartly, and I just think, wow, where would I be now if I did things differently? And that's what gives me inspiration to do this work, to hopefully inspire and guide others to learn from perhaps some of my own mistakes and missed opportunities, and to get much more from life and work, but without working any harder. Yeah.
And another question, where can we find out more about your program?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Russ. So the darylwoodhouse.com website is probably the best place, or if it's easier, just send me a direct message on LinkedIn. I'm on there most days for a little bit of time, and yeah, I can take any questions. I can send you the links directly. Happy to jump on any calls as well. There's the kind of set programs that we have, but a lot of our work is bespoke as well to unique individual circumstances and to each organization, which is there's some similarities from one company and from one industry to another, but there's also some real important differences as well. So sometimes it requires a one-to-one conversation to get to know each other more and explore and collaborate to create some bespoke solutions.
There's some links to those in the comments as well, and the ebook, which is free, isn't it? So
yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, so the other thing which I think is worth talking about is there's quite a lot in the news recently about companies forcing a 3-day period in the office of a week, and concerns around working from home generally. So do you have any thoughts on that? Any kind of feelings about work from home and those kind of plans to bring people in 3 days a week?
Yeah, you're trying to wind me up now, Russ, aren't you? Because I feel very strongly about this. But yeah, no, it's a great question and a great trending topic at the moment. Yeah, lots of big organizations have gone public just in the last few weeks about plans, intentions, announcements, whatever you want to call them, where they are now some are forcing staff to come back to the office for like a minimum 3 days a week, for example. It's the first time we've seen a larger number of bigger companies take more assertive action on this since COVID. Previously, it's been more of a gently approach and giving some incentives and so on. And actually, I don't like it, because you can see it in some of the LinkedIn news feeds that have gone out this week, some of the articles and some of the comments that you'll see online as well. The intentions are all wrong. They're doing this because they're worried that staff are not being as proactive. There's a lack of trust. they believe they're not being as productive, and that a lot of them are skiving off while working from home, but they're not looking in the right place at the data. They're not investing their time in properly talking to their staff, getting to know their staff better, and building more trust, engagement, and motivation. Because if you do that properly, and if you create and nurture the right culture, it doesn't matter where people work from most of the time. Yeah, there's exceptions, but most of the time, it doesn't matter whether they work at home 5 days a week, 5 days in the office, or something in the middle. It should be about their results and their contributions. And the method to doing that is to not force them to do things differently, but to build better relationships and understanding with them, invest in productivity skills training, some of the stuff we talked about today, and equip them to be as productive as possible wherever they work, and then follow that up, support them, measure the impact. So you can see that, if there are people who are slacking off and not pulling the weight, you'll catch those out that way. But it's a much better, nicer way than forcing them. And there's another one that got a few angry responses, I think is probably the phrase, where you've got some employers have announced or are planning to announce that people who don't come into work for the minimum 3 days a week in the office, or whatever it is that they've set, they're going to have their pay or docked, or their bonuses cut as a result as well. And again, it's just carrot and stick. It's just the wrong approach. So better leadership, better employee engagement, collaboration, working as a team, and looking at the right place on how to fix this stuff. So yeah, that's my little what's the phrase? Me getting on my high horse.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and certainly from a personal perspective as well. So yeah, well said. That's it for now. So what I'll do is I'll let you sum up, and yeah, thanks for asking me on.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much, Russ. As always, really appreciate your support. And thank you, everyone. I really hope every single one of you has stayed on the live to the end, or if you're catching the replay, I hope that you follow this through, because I know this stuff works. You don't have to look too far. Other than my website, the video testimonials on LinkedIn, the 180 odd written ones, 180 odd written ones on my LinkedIn, the video testimonials on my YouTube channel, which is, surprise, surprise, Darryl Woodhouse. It's quite easy to find. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts from this live, or if you've caught the replay, let me know what were your favorite action points. What are you going to go and do differently over the coming weeks? And what are you going to share with your colleagues who are overworking unnecessarily, for example? And let me know if you want a bit more of a helping hand. I'm an open networker, always happy to chat as long as I can fit it into my schedule. So thank you very much. Stay well, work smarter, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.